Today on Larry King Now, the versatile Luke Wilson.
I feel like I'm a fan of film who's actually in the business too. So it would be like saying like, yeah, I love the NFL, and then I'm also a wide receiver in the NFL.
On working with his brothers, Owen and Andrew.
There are times when I might as well be 10 and Owen's 13 and Andrew's 16 in terms of how we're acting. And it's kind of funny with three brothers because invariably one brother's on the outs with the other two guys. Like, what's his deal? I don't get it.
On the Skeleton Twins.
It is kind of fun to play the straight man. And like you were saying about how funny Kristin and Bill are, you do just kind of try and hold your own.
Plus, a time period you'd like to go back and visit.
Rome, when it was really going off.
All next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Our special guest is Luke Wilson. After breaking out in 1996, Bottle Rocket, co-starring his brother Owen and directed by Wes Anderson, he's gone on to star in over 50 film and television projects. Known for his roles in Old School, The Royal Tenenbaums, and Legally Blonde, he's currently starring opposite Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader in The Skeleton Twins, in theaters now. And he wrote and co-directed the short film Satellite Beach, available to buy or rent at satellitebeachfilm.com. We'll talk about the Skeleton Twins in a moment. The Bottle Rocket, 20 years old. Did you know that film would become the cult thing it is?
No, I mean, it was one of those things where it was a shock that we even got it made. We'd originally made a short film and taken it to Sundance, while at the same time my brother Owen and Wes Anderson, the director, had written a full-length script, and it found its way to James L. Brooks, the director and producer. Guy. Yeah, great guy, you know, terms of endearment and as good as it gets. And he's really the one who championed it and kind of forced Columbia to make it. And I can just remember kind of being around the Sony lot, which is where James L. Brooks' company was based, and, you know, hearing that they're going to make the movie and being very excited. And then I was like, okay, they're going to make the movie, but they've asked, can they make it without you guys being in it? And I said, that seems very reasonable. Let's get this one made, let Wes direct it. Well, maybe we'll be in the next one. But yeah, James L. Brooks was really, it could not have been done without him.
You recently said, I got so affected by Bottle Rocket and the making of it, backstage.com. That's where you said that, right? How affected?
Well, just meaning that we were aware while making it that, you know, when you make a movie for a studio, dailies get sent back to the studio and executives watch them, and they weren't happy with it. And, you know, we were making it in Texas, and it was one of those things where, you know, a couple weeks in, you looked over and you saw people in suits, and they weren't laughing.
You grew up in a family of actors, right? Three of you, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, I mean, we didn't always know we were going to be actors. My dad ran the public television station in Dallas, Channel 13. And
they're always Channel 13.
Yeah, oh, I didn't know that.
All public stations are Channel 13.
Yeah, it's actually where Jim Lehrer got his start. Jim Lehrer was a writer for the Dallas Times-Herald, and then that's where he started.
Were you competitive with each other?
Yeah, I mean, definitely competitive in terms of, you know, sports and things like that. But, you know, as we started working together in Hollywood, people would ask if we were competitive, and no, you always kind of want the other guy to do well. I mean,
where are you in the pecking order?
I'm the final brother.
You're the baby.
Yeah, I got a friend who calls me the forgotten brother.
Did they kick you around a lot?
No,
Big brothers do that.
Yeah, they were actually pretty nice. I mean, in that they allowed me to hang around with them. You know, I was 3 years. There are 3 years between each of us, and yeah, I mean, I definitely learned how to kind of stick with the gang. You know, which was I would be the last guy.
How have all of you handled paparazzis and fame and being in tabloids?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting how it affects you, and I mean, I always think about myself like, yeah, I like to see a picture of Jack Nicholson at a Laker game, like I get a kick out of it. So I'll try and keep that in mind. But yeah, it's part of the business. And
goes with the territory.
Yeah, it's part of the business, so you'd feel bad complaining about it.
I hear you. I know we're in an age of technology that we're on. This is the internet. But I'm not a fan of technology.
Yeah.
I accept it. I understand it. I understand you join me in that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm not proud of it, but I'm not.
We still read newspapers.
Yeah, still get
like
the New York
newsprint.
Times. Yeah.
I like it on my
The Gray
hands.
Lady. I mean, at times I'll feel like we're like guys that would be complaining about the telephone or, you know, the horse and buggy. So
I'd rather be us.
Yeah.
You and your older brother Andrew co-directed a short film, Satellite Beach, about the Endeavour spacecraft. Now you actually walked. What was that? Like a farce where you just?
It was an idea that I'd had. I'd read an article in the LA Times one Sunday about the guy that was in charge of the moving of the space shuttle.
And there it is.
Yeah, right. And so we, you know, I'd had this idea about.
They moved it to downtown.
Right. They moved it from LAX, the airport,
Right.
to the California Science Center. It was an 11-mile trip, and they moved it through neighborhoods, like
Right.
through Westchester, through Crenshaw, and then around the.
And you followed it.
And followed it, where my character was a guy that thought he was in charge of it, but you find out at the end that he's really not. So I had that wardrobe of like a NASA guy, short sleeve, white
Did
shirt.
you come up with that idea?
I did. I mean, and that's all I had was the idea. And then we kept getting shocked by the access we'd get. I had the clipboard and a tie, and no one was saying anything. And I kept walking.
There you are.
You know, guys would actually listen to me. I mean, I was asking people to move, and then I would have these funny interactions with.
Didn't anybody recognize you?
Yeah, I'd get recognized here and there, but also people were so focused on the space shuttle, and I did have some funny interactions with police officers where they've seen.
What would they say to you?
They'd be like, "What are you doing, man?" And I'd be like, "I'm just doing this short film." They'd seem like kind of concerned. They'd be like, I'd walk off, and the guy'd be like, "So that was Luke Wilson, the actor? I mean, is he okay?" He's just like walking around, like talking to people, telling people to move. And I'd always liked, reading about people like Dennis Hopper or even Neil Young kind of making experimental films and not worrying if they were a success or a failure.
Just doing it.
Yeah, just taking a shot, which I found out, it is difficult. And you do care whether it's good or bad.
We'll talk about Luke's new film, The Skeleton Twins, when we get back.
Are those shoes?
Oh, yeah, kind of. They're a hybrid
Hybrid of a...
of, just shoes and a foot, the human foot.
some people use a knife and fork for those things.
Yeah? Well, I'm not most people, babe, and I think that's why you love me, because I set myself aside from the pack.
Yeah.
I'll see you tonight, okay? I gotta get going. Oh, hey. There he is. What's up, Chief?
This movie's gotten great reviews.
Yeah.
You work with two people from Saturday Night Live. How'd you get the part?
It was one of those things where it just got word that they were interested in me for it. And
Did you like the script right away?
I really did like the script. And then
It's a dark comedy, right?
It is kind of a dark comedy, but knowing that Kristin Wiig and Bill Hader, who I, of course, knew from just being an SNL fan, that made me really want to do it. And like you, I've met those SNL people over the years, and you really do find out that they really are a notch above. It's a whole nother level of comedy, just in terms of how quick they are and just the voices and the characters they can do. It's like,
They're both terrific.
Yeah, it's so good.
You play her husband, right?
I play her husband, who is, kind of madly in love with her and unaware of the fact that she's kind of lost interest in me.
And they're twins.
Yeah, they're twins, and the movie starts where they've both kind of wanted to kind of end it all in terms of their lives, and then they wind up kind of reconnecting, and Bill's character moves from the West Coast to the East Coast and moves in with Kristin and I.
This is what our critic had to
Right.
say about it, Ali Tenenbaum on Flim Flam. She said, "Lo and behold, my buddy Luke Wilson, in his best role to date, is funny, charming, and dare I say, scene-stealing." How did you feel about that?
Well, I do have to say that I just, personally, I do know Allie Tenenbaum, so.
But scene stealing is.
Well, yeah,
you didn't deliberately see.
No, and again, like you were saying about how funny Kristin and Bill are, you do just kind of try and hold your own. And I've always enjoyed, it is kind of fun to play the straight man, and I've done it with Will Ferrell, and yeah, I just, those guys are so kind of quick and witty, where really you just kind of try and keep up with them.
But the straight man has to love comedy.
Yeah, which I do.
Is it true that your role in Enlightened helped you get the part?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that Enlightened, the HBO show, was one of those things where it might not have done as well in terms of numbers, but it was well received critically, and you know, out here in Hollywood, people really seemed to respond to it. So yeah, I definitely feel that as a result of that, kind of more interesting parts kind of were coming my way.
Your director, Craig Johnson, said the following. He, Luke Wilson, ended up being the improv secret weapon. Good improv is always really specific, and Luke had that. Had you done a lot of improv?
I mean, not kind of professional
not
improv.
On a stage?
But no, and I mean, like he says about it being specific, where I find that a funny script can kind of lend itself to you bringing ideas to it. And some work and some don't, and that's when you rely on a good director to kind of sift through it and bring things that might make it better or more funny, and not just kind of more of the same.
Was it fun making the Skeleton Twins?
Yeah, it really was fun. And I do find that, you know, it's one of those things I learned working on movies, where comedies are, when they're working, are very fun to make when you're working with good people and a good script. You know, to see crew people laughing. I mean, I've never done theater work or stage work, but it's one of those things where you finish a take and, you know, you'll see guys like laughing, and that to me is a great feeling.
How do you see yourself? You're kind of an everyman quality. How do they cast you?
Yeah, I think, you know, like any kind of, you just get kind of, not pigeonholed, but you get known for playing certain parts. And I think it just happens to different actors where, you know, maybe more character-driven parts or...
You have to like the character you're playing?
No, not at all. And I think that, I mean, I would think that would be very liberating to play like a real cad or a villain or something like that. And that's something I haven't gotten the chance to do a lot, or to play somebody that's, you know, not, or just kind of not a good guy. Seems very fun.
Play a bad guy.
Yeah.
A gangster.
Yeah, well, a gangster,
killer.
Or just kind of like a guy that's not very smart at all would
or
be
a
really
nutcase.
fun. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You can see how people really enjoy it, and some people are great at it.
We're going to play a little game of Name That Movie with Luke when we get back. Luke's one of the stars of the Skeleton Twins. We'll be right back. We're back with Luke Wilson. The new one is The Skeleton Twins. He's been in a lot of fun films throughout his career. We thought it would be interesting to see how well you remember your past roles.
Okay.
So we're going to put quotes on the TV screen from different roles you played. You read them aloud for us and tell us what movie it's from and if you remember the context.
Okay.
Okay, go.
I can't believe you just called me a butthead. I don't think anybody's called me a butthead since the 9th grade. Gosh, it really sounds
So you don't
familiar.
have, it sounds familiar,
It
huh?
sounds familiar.
All right, what was that movie?
Emmett
Emmett from Legally Blonde.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I remember when Legally Blonde came out, I'd have little girls come up to me and ask me, you know, be talking about Emmett, and I'd be like, oh, what the hell are they talking about, Emmett? And
All right,
yeah, it would be Legally Blonde.
Let's do the next one.
Of course it's dark. It's a suicide note. Okay, yeah, that's Royal Tenenbaums.
You got it right. From the Royal Tenenbaums. Great movie.
Thank you.
All right, the next one.
Oh, come on. It's getting to be ridiculous. Okay, that's Anchorman, and that's actually an ad lib that I'd gotten from a John Wayne tape of him giving a speech where he sounded like he'd been drinking.
All right, next one.
You have a freak flag. You just don't fly it. That's from the Family Stone.
You were Ben Stone.
Ben Stone.
And one more.
At this point, you may be asking yourself, why am I holding this 30-pound cinder block in my hands? Okay, that's old school.
Mitch.
Mitch, thank you.
Has there been times where you saw a line that was ridiculous enough that you couldn't get through it, or you didn't want to do it, or you changed it?
Yeah, I mean, there have been lines that I didn't feel comfortable saying, or lines that were supposed to be funny that I didn't feel connected, and you know, that could just kind of take you out of something.
What do you make of this quote from Bill Hader, who said, Luke Wilson still seems almost bewildered that this is his profession? How do you, and I'm getting that reaction to you now. How do you feel about that quote?
I do feel, you know, very lucky to be doing what I'm doing. And yeah, in some ways I feel kind of like an outsider in the business. But
why?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't, you know, it's like you hear people saying, like, yeah, you don't go to Hollywood parties. I really kind of don't really do stuff like that. I almost.
Are you married?
I'm not. I feel like I'm a fan of film who's actually in the business too. So it would be like,
what am I doing here?
Yeah, I mean, it would be like saying, like, yeah, I love the NFL, and then I'm also a wide receiver in the NFL. so I feel a little like that.
What are you doing now?
I just finished a movie with Olivia Wilde called Meadowlands, and then I have a movie called Prison Love, a comedy which I wrote with my friend Buck Ritchie that Owen's going to be in. And
it's a comedy about what?
It's a comedy about a guy that gets sent to prison, wrongly accused, sent to prison, and he gets some advice. He might as well get married, makes it easier to kind of get through prison, and then he gets exonerated, and he doesn't want to be married anymore.
Is Meadowlands about where the Giants play football?
It is, kind of, yeah. It takes place there, but it's more of a drama.
When Owen co-starred with you, was it difficult, easy, or just another actor?
Yeah, I mean, not difficult, but I definitely kind of look up to him, and I think that, yeah, you never really can break those familial roles. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I definitely kind of look up to him, and he is my older brother. So
he's very talented.
Yeah.
He had some difficult times. Is he okay?
He is. He's great. Yeah, he's a good, strong person.
Did you help him through that period?
Yeah. Our whole family kind of stuck together, and then he also has, you know, very good friends, and then even people that, you know, we don't know were extremely kind.
Everybody liked him.
Yeah.
Well, the three brothers worked together.
Yeah, well, Andrew and I will direct Prison Love, and Owen will be in it, and then some other friends of ours.
You play the guy?
I play the guy, yeah. Wrongly.
Who does Owen play?
Owen plays my attorney, Steve Stevens.
Who he now wants to get divorced because he's been exonerated.
Right.
Who plays the wife?
Well, we're figuring that out now. And then have a great guy that's going to play my cellmate, and we're just kind of working out his deal now. But hopefully the next time I come back, I'll be able to.
How'd you come up with the idea?
I came up with the idea watching a documentary about the West Memphis Three, which is not a comedy.
No, you're not kidding. I had them on.
Oh, okay, yeah, which incredibly interesting. And one of the guys...
they didn't do that.
Yeah, they didn't, but I can't remember, not Jesse Miskelly, but the other kind of long-haired.
Yeah.
He married this attractive woman that went and got thousands of signatures and, you know, really kind of dropped everything for him, and it was very touching. And I was watching and I thought, gosh, that'd be really funny if, you know, someone did that for you and then you got out of prison and was like, hey, I don't want to be in this relationship.
Luke answers your social media questions and tells us about his first kiss next. Luke Wilson, you'll see him in the Skeleton Twins. All right, let's answer some social media questions. Okay. At CraveCase928 on Twitter, who's the funniest person you've worked with?
Probably Will Ferrell. He's just one of those guys.
Insane.
Yeah, insane, and then, you know, kind of every kind of humor that I like, kind of over-the-top humor and physical humor, and then kind of very sensitive humor and then physical humor. Like Will's one of those guys where sometimes I'll be talking to him and he'll just put his hand on my face and just push me out of the way. But yeah, I think Will's probably at the top of the heap for me.
At that Just Bogus, do you enjoy making comedies more than dramas?
Yeah, I would say so, just in terms of they are kind of more fun. And I've always just found that it's, in terms of goals, when you're making a comedy, if you and I were doing a scene, it's, how do we make this funny? And that's a very clear goal, where sometimes when you're doing a drama, there's not that there's not a payoff, but while you're doing it, there's really not.
PK Grabowski on Instagram, do you plan to work with Wes Anderson again?
Yeah, hopefully. I'd love to work with Wes again. He's one of my favorites.
I am Jordan Neal on Instagram. Is Old School 2 ever going to happen?
I think Old School 2 was The Hangover. I really do, which I love. But yeah, it was Todd Phillips, same movie, yeah.
And now a game of If You Only Knew. We just throw a question. Remember the first girl you kissed?
Yeah, I don't remember the first girl I kissed. I remember my first girlfriend.
Who was that?
Leslie Hinckley.
Leslie Hinckley.
Yeah.
In Dallas.
In Dallas.
How old were you?
Third grade.
Was it serious?
To me, it was.
Did she dump you?
I think we just kind of drifted apart.
You ever know what happened to her?
I don't know what happened. I think, this
Sad.
school finished in the 4th grade, and yeah, it was kind of...
Superpower you'd love to have?
Flight.
Would you rather hit a home run or catch a touchdown pass?
Catch a touchdown pass.
A time period you'd like to go back and visit?
Rome, when it was really going off.
Top 3 albums?
Blood on the Tracks, Exile on Main Street, and Red-Headed Stranger.
What inspires you?
The outdoors, good artists.
What role closest to the real you?
I don't know. That's a tough one.
All right, what's the role furthest away from you?
Maybe Emmett in Legally Blonde, since I couldn't remember the
Couldn't you remember,
dialogue.
yeah. Who's the most stubborn, yourself or Owen or Andrew?
Gosh, I think we're all fairly stubborn, and in the worst kind of way, kind of quietly stubborn, where you say something and be like, yeah, okay, no, that's a good idea, yeah, and then don't do it.
One word to describe Owen.
Intelligent.
Andrew.
Loving.
Biggest lesson you learned from Bottle Rocket?
Just to stay after it. I mean, I really remember how dogged Wes was in his pursuit to get it made, where there were so many kind of ups and downs, and you'd think you'd kind of gotten to where you were going to get it made, and then you found out that, no, something had happened. And yeah, I think I learned a lot from Wes and just kind of staying after a goal.
Favorite sports team?
Probably Dallas Cowboys.
Director you'd love to work with?
Sam Peckinpah.
He died.
I know.
If you, you want to play someone evil, you'd be the right guy.
Right.
If you didn't live in Los Angeles, where would you live?
Montana.
Time travel or space travel?
Maybe time.
Would you rather bungee jump or skydive?
Not a big fan of either, but
Me too.
Yeah, I think skydive.
Forget
yes.
it. Yeah, good luck. Funniest fan encounter?
I've had a lot of funny fan encounters over the years, and I've definitely had those. I've had a lot where people will get Owen and I mixed up, and someone will say, "Are you Owen Wilson?" I'll say, no, I'm not. And I'll be trying to say I'm his brother, and they're like, "Hey man, I'm just a fan. You can just just tell me that you're Owen Wilson. I'll be like, I'm not Owen, you know, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Then walking away and be like, oh, Owen Wilson's a real jerk, you know.
Who or what makes you laugh?
I usually I like people that have a good poker face while delivering kind of dry humor.
Tom Brady, Drew Brees, or Peyton Manning?
Peyton, big Peyton fan.
Funniest audition story?
When I first got to town, I was auditioning for a kind of a fighter pilot who was a country guy, and I thought it would be good to have a mouthful of sunflower seeds. So I did the audition with sunflower seeds, and it really irritated the casting director.
What did you sound like?
I think garbled. You asked about funny people, and I know you know him too, Don Rickles.
Oh, one of my oldest and dearest friends.
Yeah, and I'm such a huge fan of his. And one time when I, like maybe 10 years ago, was walking into a building, and he was walking out with his wife. And this also ties into how quick, you know, people are that are really funny. And I was just so excited to see him, and I held the door open for his wife, and then he walked out, and all I said to him was, "Hi," and that's all he needed to hear. And he was like, "Well, hey, how you doing?" And I was like, pfft, and walked off. Just all he heard was "hi," and he was like, "Okay, this guy's a hick."
Biggest splurge?
I got a diving watch one time, one of those watches you can wear while you
Go underwater.
dive. Yeah.
You go underwater a lot?
Not a lot. I just like the watch.
Most
I
surreal.
saw Jeff Bridges wear one in a movie back when I was a kid, and I was like, I got to get one of those.
Most surreal thing about being a celebrity?
Maybe being someplace remote and getting recognized is pretty incredible.
What's the best and worst thing about working with the family?
The best is just, that thing of, you know, having a shorthand with somebody that you know so well. And they're really, when you're getting along, there really isn't much of a downside. But yeah, I mean, there are times when I might as well be 10 and Owen's 13 and Andrew's 16 in terms of how we're acting. And it's always like, it's kind of funny with three brothers, because invariably one brother's on the outs with the other two guys. Like, what's his deal? I don't get it. It's kind of the wheel of misfortune.
Thank you, Luke.
Thanks very much. Really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. I want to thank my guest, Luke Wilson. Be sure to go see The Skeleton Twins. It's in theaters now, and you can watch his short film, Satellite Beach, at satellitebeachfilm.com. And remember, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things. I'll see you next time.